Coach, I was asking a couple of your players about facing adversity for the first time this season, really, and with 5 losses in 6 games, it can go either way. So how's that working for you?
Well, adversity, people handle adversity in different ways, and you're right. We're going through adversity, and like I said, the last game, I guess we lost. You're going to go through things. You'll go through stretches in an 82-game season, and how we learn from it, how we bounce back from it, is going to be huge. And there was so many teaching points last night, and learning experiences, especially with turnovers. You have 29 assists and 19 turnovers, and 29 assists. That's a good night. But then you give it right back with 19 uncharacteristic turnovers in different ways. I mean, it wasn't just one person. Cal had the most, but that we're all were guilty of it. And so, we played well enough to win, especially defensively. We established ourselves the way we wanted to play. We had them to shoot the shots we wanted them to shoot. We took out the 3-ball. They only had a couple of lobs. So learning last night was huge for us, but unfortunately we didn't come out with a W.
When do you expect DeRozan back? Could it be tomorrow?
Could it be tomorrow, the next game, one of the next 2 games? It'll be depend on what the doctors let him know tomorrow, and we'll see.
You had a video session this morning, obviously focusing on something you saw. In regards to the turnovers, was it just being aggressive, or was it there was finding themselves in situations you didn't want them to find them in?
Well, one thing that was uncharacteristic of us was our bigs get out and outran their bigs early, and unfortunately, the ball was right there in their hands, fumble it, didn't finish a couple of them, and we have been encouraging rim running all year. And for one night, we get our bigs in front, and now we can't catch the ball. And again, it happens. It's not anything that we can't correct, but I like that. We need that type of running if we're going to run off of misses and have a running game, so to speak. And they've been on us all since I've been here about, run. We got to run. We got to run. Well, we got to run and catch. So we did that, and Cal got charged with those turnovers, but it's a 50-50 deal. And so those things we can correct, catching the ball. But we want to establish a style of play that's going to help us win against good teams and also in the playoffs. And if we don't do that, as far as making sure the passes, being more not careless passes, but make sure we understand time, score, and situation before we throw it ahead or try to make a home run play.
If you get DeRozan back tomorrow, what do you expect from him when it's been 21 games, and what would he bring to your team immediately?
Well, he brings a calmness for us. He gives us a post-play. He understands our defensive schemes. He gives us he gives us a talent out there on the floor. Anytime you take an all-star out of your lineup, again, we have a 15-man roster to make sure that somebody steps up and takes that spot. But, you can't replace talent, that type of talent. And James has done as good a job as we can have, but you can't replace that. So he'll give us that extra talent that you need to win in this league. But more so, he gives us a post-up presence, a half-court presence that, hey, we can slow things down, which in turn is a way to help your defense. Your defense gets back, it gets set. But again, it's hard to come back and be back at 19 or 20 points per game, I think is your question, the first time back after so many games. So it's going to be a while to get the rust off, and we got to live with some of his mistakes or whatever he brings to the table just until he gets the rust off the pipes.
If and when DeMar does return to the next 2 games, will he be coming back with minute restrictions, or have you guys waited to the point where he's –
I'm sure there will be minute restrictions on him to come back. You'll have to check with Alex and the doctors about that. I haven't talked to him about that. But if he's in uniform, the old rule is if you're in uniform, you're ready to play. So hopefully he'll get out there and give us something again. Anything that he brings to the table is going to help us through this tough time. I mean, we're not playing good basketball right now on either side of the ball, offensively or defensively. I like the 29 assists, but also, too, the 19 turnovers gives it right back. Defensively, I thought we held them to 42%, 42.7% last night with a hot team that's been scoring well. So our defense, even though some of the shots that Jennings was making looked bad, looked like they were layups, but they were tough twos, analytical twos. We did a good job of taking their threes out, and so I thought our guys did a good job. And I think they hit some tough shots at the end in those scramble situations that kind of broke our back.
How has DeRozan been finding a way to be a leader while he's been out for 21 games?
In film sessions, he's been, he's been there. He's been in practice. He's been practicing with the team, but he just hadn't been able to play. So he's been a leader from that standpoint. Even in the film sessions this morning, he was, vocal and, stated some things that he was seeing. And again, he's already said in those situations he's seen more by having that time away as he had, while more so than while he was in the fray trying to play.
Do you think this experience has helped him grow off the court?
No question. There's no question. It will help him so much to see, from a coaching lens, from an outside lens. It's a lot easier to see in that situation than it is that when you're out there trying to compete and play.
What are you seeing defensively that you've liked the last 2 games? You talked about the progress and getting back to where you wanted to be or where you want to be.
Well, just our activity, Michael, our hands activity, our making sure we're protecting the areas we're trying to protect. Last night it was the paint. It was it was trying to take away the three ball. We only gave up 2 lobs, which they've been killing people with the lob dunks. So we did that. We put them on the free throw line probably too much. That was probably an area where we weren't satisfied with. They had 15 more points in free throws, I think it was. So that was an area where but overall the activity, anticipation, tight paint, guys down in the stance, all those things are things that we're missing when we kind of were struggling a little bit defensively. And again, we're not there yet, on either side of the ball. We're still not playing great basketball right now.
In the last few weeks, you've talked about a gunslinger, a different gunslinger coming in every night.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems to have been prophetic in terms of point guard play and maybe one athletic big that hits the boards. What does it say about the depth of point guard in the NBA right now?
That's a great point. That's a great question. This is probably, and I've been in it a long time, probably the most athletic, most speed I've seen at the point guard position and talent at the point guard position I've seen in a long time. And it's probably become one of the most difficult positions to guard with speed. Now you got big point guards with speed. So that's something that's, I think you can go through the entire league and find how great each team, has a great point guard. Tomorrow night we got Michael Carter-Williams, an up-and-coming big point guard that has speed. So each team has a new gunslinger at that position. That's kind of the new, but again, right now it's probably one of the most difficult positions to guard in this league.
So are there other teams that feel the same way about their guys? You guys feel about Kyle?
Yeah, they say the same thing about him. I think you have to put him in that group as one of the tough point guards. The situation with Kyle, he's had so much. He's had to carry our defense. He's had to carry our offense since DeMar's been out. And again, that wears on you. It's not an excuse, but it does wear on you. And we've put a lot of load on him. And what we have to be careful of is not to let it have a cumulative effect where the minutes pile up, the pressure piles up, and the burden piles up. And it's good that DeMar's coming back, but he's not going to be the cure-all right away. But again, it will take some of the pressure off of Kyle and some of the load off of him.
So for Kyle, does the Prime Minister need to retweet his support?
No, I think all the coaches have a tremendous amount of respect for Kyle. I think he's going to have to get in the old-fashioned way. I'd love for him to get in with the vote, but I think the coaches will do the right thing and get him in.
Has James's role changed over the last few games, moving him into the starting unit at all? Or is anything different being asked of him with that group?
No, he's done a heck of a job of posting up, though. He's done, even last night they started double teaming him, which is, if you looked at our team, you wouldn't say that James would be a guy you have to do, but he's done such a solid job in the post. He made great decisions out of the double teams. He made great decisions in the half-court game. He had a couple of turnovers like everybody else, but He's done a heck of a job of growing into that role of being a kind of a low post threat or an ISO threat in that situation, which is good to see. And again, that his growth we going through such a bad time, winning and losing wise, people kind of lose the sight of his growth. And even the game JV had last night, it kind of gets lost because we're not playing great basketball right now. But there's some positive things going on with their team. But right now the expectation is to win, and some of that growth and development is kind of being lost in that shuffle.
Dwane, those point guards you mentioned are all really high-scoring guys. Does it change as a coaching staff the focus of a game plan these days to have to manage and account for these guys?
It's a two-man job. It's your big and your guard, the guy guarding the ball. And that's where the pick and roll defense is huge. The drag defense is huge today in the NBA because of the speed and quickness and the ability of point guards to score. A guy like last night with Jennings, tomorrow night with Carter Williams. And then with Tig coming in Friday night. So the pick and roll play, in transition, the drags is probably the most difficult position to guard. So your big has to be mobile. He has to be up. He has to be engaged. He has to be a caution sign to buy that guard time until he can turn the corner and get back in front. And if either one of them's off a little bit, that's when you get torched. So that's a learning experience for us, for Jonas, and for our guards to get around with that speed coming at you and get back in front, and that big guy be a caution sign for him. So we spend a lot of time on preparation, analytics, what we're going to live with and not live with. There's certain things that look bad, but again, analytically, you will live with certain shots more so you live with other shots, and that's what the game has come to a little bit.